Hello, welcome back, and as always, I hope you're doing well. Right, we are having beautiful weather here in the UK at the moment. Honestly, the sun has been shining and it is absolutely beautiful. And poor old Stripey has been locked in his office, editing, trying to put out content for you guys. Anyway, right, as you know, on the 6th of September, Steve KERRIDGE, Mike Claydon and myself are putting on an event in London at the Genesis Cinema, showing the amazing epic documentary Brucelee, the man, the legend, the icon, penned, directed and produced by Steve KERRIDGE. And I asked you guys, because I was going to invite Steve round here to have a little chat about all this, and I asked you guys in a post your questions for Steve. So this morning Steve came and visited me in my home in this very room, and we sat down and I went through a lot of them with him. So without any further ado, here's my little chat with Steve.
How you doing?
Peachy creamy, mate.
Right.
Welcome back to the Brucelee room. Right.
Thanks for inviting me.
So today I've got a few questions from the subscribers and a little chat about Brucelee, the man, the legend, the icon.
What's that then?
This special event that's happening in September.
Right.
Yeah, so, right, without any further ado, I'm going to get straight on with some questions.
Yep.
Fire
away.
Right, you've been publishing books and magazines about Bruce Lee for a long time. What made you decide to try and produce your documentary? And what makes the documentary unique compared to other ones?
I've always been a fan of the visual side of things, you know, so hence if you look at our books, it's quite photo driven.
Yeah,
you know, and we've always wanted to sort of include, like one of my pet hates was always to pick up a Bruce Lee book and the photos don't go with the text, and you know they're talking about Enter the Dragon, but they're showing a photograph of him as a kid or something.
Yeah.
So that was part of the reason why we wanted to sort of make sure that as much as you can't always do it, but as much as you can get the text to match the picture.
Right.
But the moving image, obviously, is a bit more engaging, I suppose you can say, you know. I've always found that, you know, the ultimate Bruce Lee, I think we spoke about this before, the ultimate Bruce Lee documentary hasn't been made yet. And to make a Bruce Lee documentary to really sort of give it justice, it'd probably last like 3 weeks, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Really,
you know. So, but
when you're talking about 32 years worth,
exactly, yeah,
of a busy man.
Yeah, and you can't obviously you couldn't make a document. You could do a series, I suppose. If they did like a Netflix 10-part series, you know, like, or a bit like the Beatles did with the anthology. Yeah, brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
But as we all know, there's not that much footage of Bruce Lee around, really, when you think about it. Well, there is, but
it is sparse, and some of it we don't even know if it's been discovered yet.
Exactly. I dare say there is. There's probably plenty there somewhere, but the people that the powers that be can't be asked to do whatever they can do. So
shocking,
you know. And yeah, so basically the documentary was something I've always fancied doing. So I tried to follow the guidelines of the way I've done the books in the past, and follow like a timeline. And
so not just your average talking heads video.
No, I'm not a lover of that, really. I think there's too many of them documentaries. You've got someone sitting there talking about Bruce Lee, you know, and in a lot of cases, people that didn't even know Bruce Lee, or they're just talking about how Bruce Lee influenced them in some shape or form. Which, don't get me wrong, is still good, but it's not something that really sort of I find engaging to watch, really.
Yeah.
You know, so I just thought we've got to try and put something together where it's in the same style or vein as the style of books we do. I think I mentioned before, like you've got like your audio books.
Yeah.
Where you could look at this as like an audio visual book in documentary form. Yes. I suppose you could describe it in one way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So what can fans expect to see that they haven't seen before?
Well, it's hard to show anyone something they've not seen before to a certain degree, because most of it is out there. But in a lot of cases, there's all these pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that we've all seen in various places and whatever, but very rarely are these jigsaw puzzles put together in the right order. Because pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, put together in the right way, create that picture.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is put them jigsaw pieces together and create that picture.
Nice.
You'll have some odds and sods there that people go, I'm not seeing that. But you'll also have stuff that people have seen, but because it's put in the right context and in the right place, it's a lot more entertaining to watch.
Nice.
You know, so without giving too much away.
Yeah. How long's the documentary been in the making, and how historically? I mean, I already know the answer.
Well,
accurate is it?
Well, without sort of sounding stupid, you know, it's been in the making for the last 50 years.
Yes, of course.
But sensible. It's been, I suppose, in production, if you like, if you want to call it in that way, since last sort of September. You know, so it's took a good 6 months, which is pretty quick, really, considering the length of the documentary. You know,
but you've got the ultimate resource in your books and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, I can use my books as a good guideline for stuff. So there's no point researching the stuff you've already researched before. You've got it. It's already done.
You've done it, yeah.
But a book form to actually say it's on the screen as a visual, as a moving image, is a quite different thing to produce.
Yeah. I mean, I know, mate. I know. Right. Yeah. It's a long running time, 3 hours. Why did you decide to make it so long? I think you kind of covered that with the anthology earlier.
Yeah, I mean, you've got with Brucelee's life, you've got the pillars of his life. You know, meaning, you know, the birth of Bruce Lee. You've got the childhood movies. You've got the moving to America. Blah blah. So you've got those pillars which are always there. You ain't going to change that. That's the life. What we've tried to do is put the bits in between, and a lot of stuff that's not really been covered in documentary form before, to make it more interesting. But it does have the downside, well, not a downside, but it does make the documentary a lot longer than the normal run-of-the-mill one, which I don't think, to be honest with you, you've got to give it some justice. You can't cut things down to like an hour and give it real justice, really. So, I mean, the documentary is 3 hours plus, you know, so, I know, You could call it the director's cut.
It's epic. It's epic. I know. Right, this is quite a popular question. Will the documentary be seen on Blu-ray or streaming?
At the present time, there's no plans for it to be released. And I know that's going to probably piss a few people off, but it's not the matter that we're trying to do that to people, but it's solely made for this event.
Yeah.
You know, it's got no intention of any commercial reason behind it other than for the event, you know, and for educational, without sounding corny, for educational purposes. So when people turn up, you know, it's to educate them on the life of Bruce Lee, and, you know, hopefully some fans will learn some stuff from it.
Oh, you know, I know they will.
I hope so, you know, and I hope they enjoy it. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say it's going to be the best thing ever, because for me to say that, it's be a bit pretentious, really.
I'm going to say that.
You know, to me, it's just something that's going to be. I think it's quite
unique, isn't it?
Immersive. I think is the word we like to use.
It is the word. It is.
Yeah.
Right. So, what part of Bruce Lee's life interests you the most, and what part of the documentary has been the most difficult to research?
I don't think. What do you mean? What's the most part that's interesting?
What's part of Bruce Lee's life that interests you the most, and what part of the documentary has been the most difficult to research?
There's no one specific part of his life that interests me the most, other than I think what does intrigue me and many people is the fact that where he's gone to the States, unknown. You know, how did he get from that stage and all the knockbacks he had through the 60s, really, and he still was determined to have that dedication to carry on, and that drive,
determination,
and that drive to prove himself and to achieve his definite chief aim, if you like, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's I suppose that's what fascinates me the most. So you could say it's a definite chief aim approach to things that he had. You know, that's what always.
And what part of the documentary do you find the hardest research-wise?
No particular part really. It's just making sure that the documentary flows. I mean, when you put a book together, and our books are quite in depth.
They are.
But with a book, you can tell the general story, and those that have got the books, you'll see sometimes you've got the little grey box at the bottom where it's given a bit of extra information about a certain part of that chapter, or whatever. You know, that's easy to do in a book. You know, or easier to do in a book. In a documentary, you can't keep going off on tangents and things like that, so it's got to flow. So, unfortunately, you can't go that deep like you can in the book. We could do, but I think the die-hard fans wouldn't care, they'd watch it. But when you do a documentary, you've got to think of the wider audience. So you can't just produce something just for the die-hard fans. It's got to be something that, you know, your uncle can sit down and watch who doesn't know much about Bruce Lee. That's my the hope that I've got with this, where Bruce Lee fans, I'm sure, will like it. Yeah,
I think they're going to love it.
But I like to think that the Bruce Lee fan could be sitting there with his dad at the event, or his uncle, or someone that comes with him who doesn't really know too much about Bruce Lee, who sit there and they'll be totally engaged with it from start to finish, and they'll not be looking at their watch. You know, to me, it's got to be engaging, so it's got to flow.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Can you tell the viewers, besides the incredible documentary, what else is going on the event on the day, and maybe tell them a little bit about the venue, which we've visited a few times now?
The venue, I mean, we searched high and low to get the right venue, as you know, and there's 101 different venues you can have. Now, we could look on for a conference room in a hotel, or a school hall, or whatever, you know, which would have been easy to get, and a lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
Right, but we knew what we wanted. We wanted something where it's going to give that retro feel to it. So, and a lot of the older fans our age can remember the days of the, you know,
with the billboards.
Yeah, the old cinema, that feeling. It's hard to tell the younger generation that, or to explain to the younger generation how it used to feel when you used to walk through that cinema entrance, and it's just that.
And you go up the steps.
Yeah, it's just like, it's now like most cinemas now, they've got 4 or 5 screens. I mean, this place has got, I think, 3 screens.
Yeah.
But we've got the big one, the main part, which is like the real retro, old-fashioned.
Oh, it's true.
It looks like
we couldn't have done better.
No,
we did search
it
on it.
Virtually looks like the old vaudeville type of a theatre inside, doesn't it? And so the venue is ideal for what we want. It's in the heart of London, you know, Jack the Ripper country, if you like,
or the crazed territory.
Yeah, but I mean, it is so easy to get to, and that's one of the things as well. We did look at places, didn't we, like further afield.
Colchester, we went about, didn't we?
Yeah, and you know, lovely places, but at the same time, you've got to think how people get there.
Yeah.
And let's face it, transport's not cheap these days. Whether you're putting petrol in your car or a train, you know,
it's so easy to get to by train, isn't it?
Ridiculous.
Really easy.
It's ridiculously easy. Yeah, I mean, you've got a station each side of it.
Yeah, I know.
You know, one of the stations links up basically to the Elizabeth line that goes straight to Heathrow Airport. So even if you're coming from, and we've got a few people coming from around the world, which I'm really chuffed about. Really.
Germany, France, America.
But they're going to find it so easy to get to the venue.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and they've got a hotel nearby that they've, you know, a few of them are booked, but there's loads of hotels around.
Yeah.
As you come out of the venue, you can see the city skyline, can't you?
Yeah.
Of London, though. Yeah. So the financial district of London.
No, it's
it's a perfect location. So that's I've got the other part of the question.
I can't even remember myself.
Yeah, I mean the venue, that's ideal.
It's perfect.
Ideal.
It's perfect for what we want. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, you mentioned a diorama. Do you want to explain what the diorama is? Because for some people that might not know.
I think I even spelled it wrong when I put it out there, didn't I?
Apparently, I don't have.
There's a typo there. Yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
No, that was pulled up on me. Well, basically, in the venue, you've got. We've got like the upstairs area where we can have our merchandising stuff and all the display posters and the you know, for everyone. And there's a bar area we can get food and drink, you know, which is for the cinema. But they've also got a little area where they normally put like a piano, like a little
stage, isn't it?
A little stage, really, yeah. And we had the idea to come up with creating the best we can, like one of the Brucelee film sets. Now, we had a choice. We could have gone Colosseum, we could have gone Pagoda, we could have gone blah, blah. And we decided upon the Fist of Fury Honkyu School.
Yeah.
You know, with the Japanese or the Chinese symbol in the background, you know. So we're recreating that. Now, you know, don't expect to walk onto Golden Harbour Studios when you come in there, but it'd be a lovely backdrop for selfies, for people to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, look, it's about enjoying yourself on the day. You know, you got the documentary, but it's also great for everyone to get together, you know, have a chat, and just enjoy the whole.
I'll be having my photo done in front of the diorama. Don't worry about that. 100%, mate.
Yeah.
Recreating
that'll be interesting. That'll be quite good. That.
Yeah, Christy. Right, this is slightly off topic.
Yeah.
My question to Steve is, when will the softback edition of The Making of the Big Boss be released? And I suppose on the back of that, Bruce Lee Dragon, because I know there's a lot of people that really would like to get their hands on both of them books.
Yeah, there's several reasons why it hasn't come out just. I mean, the hardback's only just recently been released anyway. With the Dragon, that is.
Yeah.
The Making of the Big Boss, obviously that was about a year ago or so. I try to spread things out, because you've got to think people need. There's only so much money to go around. You can't expect people to keep spending and spending and spending. So you try and sort of be fair and spread these things out. Now, I've never been one to sort of like keep crashing things out for the quick buck. You know, it's not what I do for a living.
Yeah, I know.
This is something I enjoy doing. So to me, you know, you try and spread things out a little bit. Now, obviously, the documentaries took up or taken up quite a bit of my time over the last.
I know, you're like a machine, mate. 7 days a week,
non-stop. You know, even my wife's forgot what my name is. You know what I mean? It's that bad. You know, well, she calls me a few other things now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll get that funny enough.
But no, I mean, you know, the jokes aside, it's took so much time up that I haven't really had time to. You know, I mean, we've got one thing coming out soon, which is part of our signature series, which is down in Asanto.
Oh, that'll be a good one.
So that's a nice one coming out, and that'll be advertised pretty soon. But that's an ongoing thing we do from time to time. So going back to your original question, we've got a choice, and I recently met with Darren Chua in Bangkok, and we had the chat about the release of both books and softback. So it's just a decision whether the Making of the Big Boss comes out first or Dragon. We're not too sure yet. We're going to try and do it this year. Probably, my gut feeling is that it'll be Dragon first, probably. I don't know, but don't hold me to that. Okay. But as I say, to me at the moment, we've got so much we're working on with various projects. I'm trying not to overdo it with things and over sort of like saturate
everything.
It's not fair to everyone. You know what I mean? It's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will come out. It will come out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, apart from the documentary on the day, will there be other Bruce Lee movies shown?
Possibly. Possibly. I mean, we've got plans that we could maybe possibly show up the Big Boss or something. You know,
the Mandarin Cut.
The Mandarin Cut, which would be nice to be seen on the big screen with all the fans together.
24-foot screen or whatever it is.
Saying, yeah, so it'd be nice for that. But at the moment, because of the enormous, the size of, the documentary is just going to take a big part of the day up. You know, plus what we're concerned about is we don't want people to be sitting there on their backsides for hours, get up for 5 minutes and back again. You know, it's quite, you know, sitting there all day long. So, because people will want to mingle and mix together and chat and socialise and whatever else. So, yeah,
there's a chance of it.
There's a chance of it, but the day's events, but there will be other things shown.
Yeah.
You know, so if it isn't a film, it'll be
other bits.
Small bits and pieces to be shown. It certainly will be a full day of entertainment. You know, but we don't want to crowd it to the point where people, you know, they've got to keep sitting down in the cinema all the time and looking at the screen. They're going to want to walk around and have refreshments and so forth. You know, so you've got to think of that as well. Yeah. Right.
Out of all the books you've written, what was your favourite book to write, if you have one?
I suppose the most difficult, when we first started working on it, The Mandarin Superstar, was one of the most challenging, because nothing had really been put on paper as such regarding that period. Oh, you had the usual biographies and stuff, but nothing that went into the depth that we wanted to get into. And trying to sort of find that information on the Big Boss, for example, was no easy task. And there was a lot of false truths out there, you know. There was a lot of rubbish out there. There was a lot of, I mean, little things, you know, even down to things, I mean, off the top of my head now, say, for example, you know, Nora Mal, you know, in Pak Chong. Nora Mal never went to Pak Chong, despite what people think. She did not go to Pak Chong, right? And I've had arguments with people over this. Now, let me just, while I'm on that subject, Nora Mal told us she didn't go to Pak Chong. Okay. Chris Chen, the cinematographer, Nora Mal wasn't in Pak Chong, it was Bangkok.
Right.
You know, Pal Poropak, the stuntman, first met Nora Mal in Bangkok. Right, Nora Mal herself, in old vintage interviews, English and Chinese, states she wished she had had the chance to experience village life in Thailand, but she'd never. Bangkok. So little things like that.
You heard it here first, peeps.
Yeah, I mean, so there's loads of sort of like false truths out there where people say, oh, this happened, and Bruce fought all the Thai stuntmen, and he fought a Thai boxer, and all this bullshit, really. You know, and it just, you know, so. Our job was to try and research this as much as we could, you know, and it took a lot of work. So I suppose really, the Mandarin Superstar was probably was one of the hardest to one point. I mean, if you go like Intercepting Fist, and then because we've travelled along to obviously now with Dragon, which I'd visited that a few times with previous books on the Way of the Dragon period. Yeah. But because we revisited the whole thing in more depth, you know, Dragon was very interesting as well. To be honest with you, you know, I'm probably babbling on here a little bit, but to be clear, it's not really, I can't really say it's a favourite as such. They've all got their own challenges, all had their own challenges, you know, so yeah, but it's all been fun.
Nice, right. Regarding Henry Wong footage, I know we've covered this before probably, does Steve believes it still exists? I've heard that when Henry delivered the footage to Fred Weintraub, it was just forgotten about and no one knew the historic significance of the footage. But you heard Raymond Chow offered Henry an open cheque basically for it, but Henry replied it was given to Weintraub and was never seen again.
I believe him. I mean, I believe that, you know, why would he not? If he had that footage sitting in his cupboard, and Raymond Chow goes, "There's a cheque,"
he would get it out.
Of course, he would. You would, wouldn't you? You wouldn't go, "Oh no, I haven't got that." You know, so he gave it to either Fred Weintraub or someone at Warner Brothers. Certainly, you know. The big question is, have Warner Brothers still got that? Now, to me, why shouldn't they have it?
I know, but wouldn't by now, like John Little, I asked John Little this, he said it'd be worth paying someone minimum wage to go through all this, to find it. Yeah. Because let's be honest, it's worth a fortune.
But worth a fortune to who? Is it worth it to us? It is,
well, every time they re-release Enter the Dragon, wouldn't it be nice to have something else on there?
Of course it would. Listen, I'm on your side.
I know that, mate.
Without a doubt. But like, to me, I always remember there was a I think it was Lethal Weapon, one of them DVDs that came out years ago, and they had the special features. And Mel Gibson was walking around the archives of Warner Brothers, and that came to my mind when I watched it. You know, I wonder why, but it did. You know, And he's walking down these big long corridors with his shelves, and it was just stacked upon stacks of film reels. You know, and so I can't see him throwing anything away, unless that got given to say Fred Weintraub and he kept it for himself, and then that got chucked in the whatever. It's a possibility. You know, I don't know. Who knows for sure? If I knew, I'd go and get it.
We all would.
You know, but
I'll be with you.
Yeah, but it's not to say that later on maybe one of us can't, or there's contacts we can make to do that. You know, but at the moment it's just it's a mystery. But in my humble opinion, it does exist. Yeah. You know, it's just a matter of when it.
So let's be honest, the log scene and the Mandarin cut of the Big Boss.
Yeah.
How many years was it? 50 years.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Right. Would it be feasible? This is a good one. To erase the cardboard cutout scene in the dressing room between Bruce and Hugh O'Brien, Steiner, and replace it with AI? Or, for that matter, Are they all and the other repetitive, recycled older shots of the film? Would whoever owned the rights be open to an AI re-edit of just those horrendous inserts?
What my personal opinion? I think they should get the negative and burn it.
There you go.
So I think the film's a pile of crap. I think
We're talking about Game of Death 78, aren't we?
Yes. And don't get me wrong. At the time, we was all hungry to see a bit more Bruce Lee. But when you look back at it now, really, it was a total piss take, really.
That's a mockery.
You know, all these people saying, "Oh yeah, but we didn't have this." Listen, they didn't give a toss. They were just looking at the Wonga. You know, let's put this together. You know,
They showed Bruce Lee in his coffin.
Yeah, then that's even worse.
Ready
you know what I
to
mean?
make money.
Exactly. The film was crap. Let's be honest. All right. Apart from the Bruce Lee bits that we was pleased to see at the top, well, we didn't even see all that over it, did we?
We had the nunchuckers cut
but,
out.
But putting that aside, the film from start to finish, I'm sorry if I'm upset people, but it's a pile of shit.
Well, the thing is with me, with Game of Death 78, it's a guilty pleasure. Right?
It's a nostalgic thing. That's
I
all
love
it
the
is.
John Barry score. If I hear that music, I think of Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
But it's not that great a film. Apart from the locker footage with real Bruce Lee and Bob Wall.
All it is, all it is a Bruce Lee film.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Well, in that context, really.
Yeah, it's a the ultimate exploitation.
Yes. They could have done. Oh, they didn't have the technology they've got today. But listen, you're talking about film companies back then that would steal music out of Western films, and
we know this.
We know this.
We know this.
They had no scruples, really.
No, you wouldn't get away with it now, would you? No. Right.
Well, what would Bruce? Let me ask people. Put this in the comments. What would Bruce Lee think of the '78 Game of Death?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And there's your answer.
Yeah. What would Bruce Lee think of the 1978 Golden Harvest Game?
And there's your answer. Yeah.
Now, that's a question from Steve. Right. Of all the Bruce Lee friends, family, or colleagues you've met, who do you think is the most honest, friendly, and reliable?
I think Lynn. Well, I'm not singling out one person, but there's several. You know, I can probably make a list, but I mean, Linda Lee has stayed true, I think, to everything. You know.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
And but I mean, people outside of the immediate family. I mean, I've met tons of people. I met a number of them, but there was so many nice. But Taki Kimura was absolutely. He was just a wonderful person.
Yeah.
George Lee, Alan Jones, all lovely people. Chaplin Chang. I mean, Chaplin Chang always stays in my mind because, you know, I got to know Chaplin sort of fairly well, and I met him a few times, obviously, but we used to correspond quite a bit, and he was just so straight down the line, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, there's been a lot of there's been a few not so nice people, but then at the end of the day,
but you'd say Linda,
people like to live off, you know, people will look for opportunities to earn once again money again, isn't it? So they'll exploit that connection, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Right. With the care Steve takes in writing books about Bruce Lee, could there be films based on every Bruce Lee movies? So, based on the books he's wrote, will there be more projects with documentaries?
Everything's possible, but then how many times do you want to revisit the same thing over and over again? I mean, I was very unsure at first when we decided to do the Dragon book, because I'd already done that a few times in that timeline. You know, it was only after a lot of conversations with me and Darren that, you know, we thought, well, do you know what? We've gone into so much depth, and Darren brought so much to the table with that as well.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we could really justify this now. And those that have got the Dragon book, it does actually explain the reason why we did that. Because that was something that did play on my conscience a little bit. You know, and there's certain people out there that, you know, they'll just exploit things over and over and over and over again. You know, and I don't want to go down that road, really.
Yeah,
so going back to that question, I mean, the documentary we've done, you know, we've got the people going to see, that does cover You know, as I said, with a documentary, it may not go into the real deep depth that a book will go, because you can't do that with a documentary. It's just not, you know, it just ain't possible. Not to make something that's watchable anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so but you could have a. I've always thought it'd be a good idea if someone made a play, if you like, or I don't know what the word would be really, on say like Silent Flute. Imagine someone creating something where you've got the three characters of Bruce, Sterling Silliphant and James Coburn, you know, and they're trying to get this project off the ground, you know.
Like a drama, that would be good.
Like a drama, yeah, where they go to India and all the little funny stories going around India and stuff, you know. That'd be quite an interesting thing, but I mean, would it appeal to the general public? Probably not. Brucelee fans got
100% we'd love it.
So you've got to be realistic. You've got to think some of these big film companies, they ain't going to invest millions and millions of dollars into something that's not going to bring it back.
True.
So, yeah.
Right, there's a film called Bamboo and Dragons in the works, but we understand that you can't talk much about it. But we're still curious.
Yeah.
What stage is the project at? Will it be released this year? There's very little information about it. All the fans are waiting and hoping to see it.
The documentary is still in the planning stages, and it's started to, how can I put it? David Tadman has started to put certain things into production with it now, as far as interviewing people, but it's not a 5-minute job. No, so this is something that hopefully by next year we should have something where we know where we're going with it, and what sort of platform it's going to be on, whether it be on like a Netflix or an Amazon or well, we're not sure yet. There's a few people who have actually taken an interest in it. Yeah, there are, you know, and there is some footage on the set of Enter the Dragon. I'm not saying it's tons of it, but there are some that's not been seen. But it ain't just about that. It's about the whole John Saxon story, which I know has been told before in books and magazines and whatever. But once again, you know, you've got something that's in documentary form. You know, it's a different entity altogether than a book or magazine. There'll be people like John Saxon's first wife being interviewed, and have been interviewed before, who's got some quite interesting stories of that time, going out for meals with Bruce and so forth. But I'm not going to go into too much because I don't want to give the game away. But the only reason I'm telling people to say that it is real, you know, just some made up, coming soon rubbish, you know. But at the moment it's still in the. Well, it's not even. It's past the planning stages. It's started production, but it's a slow process. Fair enough. It's got to be, you know, to rush something just to get it out there, just to once again quick buck. Yeah. It's got to be done properly. It's got something that's put together like that. I mean, David Tadman. Of anyone in the world that has met most of the people, if not virtually all of them, barring Brucelee, on Enter the Dragon, is David Tadman. You know, he's interviewed everyone. Right. So, and there's a lot of stuff that's never, you know, that never actually made the print or made the documentary before, that he is still got in his archive. So it could all be collated together with this and tell a really good sort of story or a view of Enter the Dragon from the John Saxon point of view. Nice. You know, nice. Yeah. Right. I know the answer to this already. Does the doc contain any unseen footage of Bruce? Well, let's put it this way. Like I explained earlier, you know, it's all in little bits of jigsaw puzzle that have been put together to create that image. That's what I'm going to say at the moment. You know. Right, yeah. They're gonna enjoy it. Oh, 100%. I know. Yeah. Sorry if that's not a really good answer, but well, you've kind of answered this next question already. Is Steve planning on doing any more signature collections, magazines, etc.? Yeah. You know, as I said, we've got the Danny and the Santo one coming out this year. Nice. Which will be advertised pretty soon on pre-order. That'll make a nice one, won't it, Dan? Yeah, I think so, yeah. Dan and the Santo, let's be honest. Yeah. You know, and we've got other ideas in the at the moment. But as I said, I don't want to bombard, saturate. You know, it's a bit at a time.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Right. Could you please ask Steve if he will have his own merchandise stall at the event selling his publications?
Yeah, we'll have certain amount of stuff there to sell. Yeah, so people can buy bits and pieces.
Nice.
You know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Steve.
Yeah.
We've got through all the questions, mate.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you very much. I think it's going to be an amazing day in September.
Yeah.
And it's nice that people are coming from literally everywhere.
Yeah. It's
different places in America.
Yeah.
We've got some interesting people coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be quite something.
Hopefully a few surprise guests, never know.
Yeah.
You know, but no, it'll be a good day.
It's going to be a great day, I know.
And just those that are coming and those that are thinking of coming, you know, just come and enjoy yourself.
Mm. Oh, it's going to be. It's going to be fun.
If you like Brucelee, if you know, you're going to enjoy it.
100%. 100%. Right, Steve, this has been an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you.
Love you coming round my home and sitting in the Brucelee room.
Thank you.
He appreciates it like I do. All right, nice one, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, mate. Yeah.
Cheers.
All right, with that, people, we'll speak to you soon. Take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, guys, as much as I did. He's a great guy and an absolute machine when it comes to Brucelee. Like no one else I've ever met, seriously. Now, tickets are on sale at bruceleeforever.com. I'll obviously put a link to it in the description down below. And people are coming from all over the world. It's going to be a truly memorable day. Looking forward to meeting you there. Thank you very much for today, Steve. I really enjoyed it, mate, and we'll have to latch up again real soon. Right, Sunday, I will be sitting down and having another Brucelee conversation with Brandon Bentley. This is going to be my first time talking to Brandon. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Obviously, Brandon Bentley's done loads of audio commentaries on Shout Factory, done loads on Arrow, as well as video essays. He helped on the final Game of Death, Not Quite the Biggest Boss. He knows he's Brucelee, and he also put together the famous or infamous Game of Death 78 Integral Cut. So I'm looking forward to that. So I will put a post out over the weekend, guys, letting you know. And if you've got any questions for Brandon Bentley, you'll be able to put them in there, and I'll make sure I'll try and get through as many as I can. Right, with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. But before I go, guys, as always, if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up, it really does help the channel. Comment, what do you think about Brucelee, the man, the legend, the icon? You're going to love it. Just trust me on this one. Subscribe to the channel. As you know, I want Stripey Rambles to grow a little this year. And hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. And of course, as always, a special thank you to my amazing patrons. Guys, you're terrific. Right, have yourselves an amazing weekend, guys. Much love. And I'll be back with another ramble real soon. You take care now.